me to sit down? Did you enjoy the set?
Yeah, I did. We had one or two problems. Yeah, they seemed a nice audience.
Yeah, nice audience.
Yeah. I had a bit of trouble getting back to the stage when I went out, I think.
Wir haben jetzt bei uns hier im Studio Peter Gabriel, der vor 10 Minuten aufgetreten hat. There's a lot of interesting things, Peter, about your stage show that other people don't do. I mean, for instance, you go actually into the crowd and you talk with people. You even allow them at times, I've seen you in the past, allow them to sing into your microphone. Yeah. And I was wondering whether that's sometimes a little dangerous to do something like that. Let me put that in German very briefly. Wir haben gerade gesehen, wie Peter Gabriel läuft durch ins Publikum, wenn er live spielt. Und ich habe ihn gerade gefragt, ob das manchmal gefährlich ist, weil er gibt manchmal das Mikrofon an jemanden ins Publikum und er könnte etwas ganz Gefährliches für ihn sagen.
Yeah, it's an important thing to me just to get as close as possible to the audience, and there is a considerable distance, I think, between the stage and the audience. And sometimes with some artists, when you see them night after night, it looks almost as if you're watching a film. And the thing I like about actually going into the audience is no one knows what's going to happen. Either I may get welcomed, or it's happened recently in Bremen. People may not want me there at all, but whatever happens, it's something that is totally unrehearsed. And it's just thanks to the invention of the radio microphone that I'm able to do it, and it's great.
Meint, dass das ist natürlich gefährlich, ins Publikum zu gehen, aber es ist irgendwie sehr positiv, so etwas zu machen, weil man weiß nie genau, was von dieser Idee rauskommt. Die Hauptsache ist, dass man versucht, diese Wand zwischen was auf die Bühne passiert und was ins Publikum passiert, runterzubrechen. Und das macht er natürlich, wenn er läuft ins Publikum. Das kann manchmal schief gehen. Er hat gerade gesagt, dass in Bremen zum Beispiel, die Leute, die haben es nicht so gut gefunden. Es ist natürlich gefährlich, aber trotzdem wir will weiter damit machen. Do you find what you're doing now, though, in that sense, is very different to what you were doing with Genesis, where you had lots of masks on, and there was very much of a distinction between what you were doing on stage and the audience watching you? Erzählt gerade, dass er mit Soft Machine gespielt. Das kann auch möglich sein, vor 20 Jahren oder so. Und ich habe ihn gefragt, wenn er mit Genesis gespielt hat. Und ich glaube, dass das war wirklich Genesis.
Yeah, I think so. Then,
kann ich das zu Ende machen?
Yeah,
Finish that. Wenn er mit Genesis gespielt hat, das war eine ganz andere Sache. Er hat dann diese Masken angehabt und der war eigentlich ein ganz großes Loch immer zwischen Genesis und das Publikum. Das war richtig eine Bühnenschau, was er da gemacht hat. Jetzt ist das nicht so.
Yeah, I think the difference there was that we were trying to illustrate stories, and I introduced masks and quite a lot of visual things, which, having left, I then wanted to separate myself from. And initially I wanted to get out of the business. I didn't leave for a solo career. It was about 4.5 years ago now that I left. And after about 1.5 years, I decided to get back involved. And I wanted to try and build things up as a new artist, based on the music, not on lasers and spaceships and such like.
Er erzählt, dass bei Genesis die Lieder waren natürlich Geschichten und er hat das ganz gut gefunden, wenn man kann diese Geschichten irgendwie illustrieren. Das hat er gemacht mit den Masken und alles. Aber das hat einen Punkt erreicht, wo das war eigentlich zu viel für ihn. Und dann hat er Genesis gelassen. Eigentlich nicht, weil er wollte eine Solo-Karriere machen. Das war mehr, er hat genug von diesem ganzen Business, von dieser Machinery. Das war eigentlich zu viel für ihn. Dann hat er 1,5 Jahre nichts gemacht und dann danach hat er wieder Lust, etwas zu machen. Und so ist es gewesen, dass er hat diese neue Gruppe zusammengestellt und hat weiter aufgetreten. Do you find what you're doing now, therefore, is very, very different to what you were doing before? Did you consciously decide that you didn't want anymore to do what Genesis were doing? Ob was er jetzt macht, ganz anders von Genesis, weil er hat das so überlegt, ich will jetzt etwas anderes machen. Ich bin bekannt geworden durch Genesis, jetzt muss ich etwas anderes machen. Jetzt muss ich etwas anderes beweisen.
I think initially I made a conscious decision to try and get away from sort of the arrangements that were associated with Genesis, in that the sound of the arrangements was as important as the songs themselves. And for me now, I'm trying to make it more simple, more direct, and the emphasis is on the songs.
Die Hauptsache ist jetzt die Lieder. Er will jetzt, dass alles mehr einfach und mehr direkt ist. Nicht wie bei Genesis, wo alles ziemlich kompliziert war. Jetzt will er das ganz anders machen. Albrecht, I think you had a question you wanted to put.
Peter, when we saw you last week in Berlin, you included in your set a punk version of A Wider Shade of Pale, and which I think is fair to say took everybody by surprise. And
Yeah.
what's the idea behind that?
Well, it just appealed to my sense of humor, but unfortunately it doesn't appeal to everyone's sense of humor, and some people have hated it. I think that people are a little confused what the motive is, whether it's a parody, whether I'm an old man clutching at my youth, or quite why I'm doing it. But we have a lot of fun at that point. So.
Also das sind anscheinend zwei Auffassungen von Humor aufeinander geprallt ist. Peter Gabriel meint, diese Version von A Wider Shade of Pale sei seine Art von Humor. Andere Leute haben das nicht so verstanden. Now, two very simple questions. Yesterday at the soundcheck, a young guy asked me, why do you wear that red thing in your set?
Well, I like the look of it, very simply. Also, we were just starting the tour and I wanted to buy something that we could wear. And the first shop that I looked in was a bicycle and working man's shop. And these things looked interesting.
Ja, ich habe Peter gefragt, warum er diese roten Warnjacken anhat. Und er sagt, er ist einkaufen gegangen und der erste Laden, in dem er gekommen ist, war ein Fahrradgeschäft. Und dort hat er diese Warndreiecke, diese Warnwesten gesehen und das hat ihm unheimlich gut gefallen. My second simple question is, you shaved your head some weeks ago,
Yeah.
right? Is that a special reason?
Yeah, but, well, I just like to expose my scalp and I can hear the raindrops falling on my head.
It's a very nice idea. Ich habe ihn gefragt, warum er sich den Kopf rasiert hat und er hat es gemacht, um die Regentropfen so richtig auf seinem Kopf aufklatschen zu hören. Hast du noch Fragen?
Tja, eigentlich, wenn der Sid jetzt bereit ist, wir können Sid vielleicht gleich hier rausbringen.
Nee, Sid kommt nicht her.
Er kommt nicht.
Nein, Sid kommt nicht her.
The usual.
Ja, perhaps we can ask, vielleicht können wir diese Frage stellen mit der Punkmusik.
Yeah, Albrecht asked you this question about playing A Wider Shade of Pale. And obviously, it's a question that a lot of groups who've been playing music over the last 10 years have been asked. But the effect that punk music had on your own music, whether that made you see your own music differently, ob Punkmusik hat irgendwie ihn beeindruckt, etwas anderes zu machen.
I think it was very important for each generation to have its own identity and its own music. And I like the energy of it. And I think in just terms of pure energy, it is a sort of focal point for anything else to be compared to. But I don't really feel that it's had a tremendous influence other than providing me with the idea for a new version of White Shade of Pale.
Er sagt, dass das hat eine Bedeutung gehabt, natürlich, und die Musiker haben das jetzt anders überlegt, was sie jetzt machen sollte. Aber trotzdem, das hat nicht so eine Bedeutung auf ihn gehabt, dass er will jetzt etwas anderes machen. Diese Version von A Wider Shade of Pale, das ist eigentlich eine Parodie, das ist eigentlich aus Witz gemeint. Do you think in the future, I mean, you're going to incorporate songs from other people, not necessarily as punk versions? I mean, you do a Genesis number, but do you see you doing numbers from other people just for fun? Ich habe ihn gefragt, ob er in Zukunft etwas anderes machen will. Zum Beispiel, weil er hat Wider Shade of Pale gespielt, vielleicht eine Nummer von einer anderen Gruppe auch in sein Set reinbringen.
Yeah, the couple of tours back, I was doing a version of I heard it through the grapevine with the synthesizer and sequences and things, and Ain't That Peculiar. So I like to do an All Day and All of Night. That was another one or two maybe each tour, just because often they're contrast to my own style of writing, and they can be a lot of fun to play.
Er sagt, dass auf jeder Tournee eigentlich will er ein paar neue Nummern haben. Er hat vor 2 Jahren I heard it through the grapevine gespielt und All of the Day and All of the Night gespielt. Und er meint, das bringt einen guten Kontrast zu der Musik, das er mit seiner Gruppe macht. Und das ist eine gute Idee für die Zukunft, so weiterzumachen. Auf jeder Tournee eine neue Nummer, bestimmt nicht eine Punknummer auf die nächste Tournee. Have you got any ideas what you're going to be playing on the next tour?
I'm not sure. Just see what happens.
Er weiß nicht genau, was auf die nächste Tournee kommt, aber wir müssen abwarten und sehen. How do you feel generally about performing in front of a German crowd? I'm thinking again, when you go out front with a microphone and they're going to say things to you that maybe you're not going to understand, is that sometimes a difficult moment for you? Ob das schwer ist, wenn er zum Beispiel vor ein deutsches Publikum spielt, läuft durch das Publikum und die sagen etwas zu ihm ins Mikrofon, der versteht das nicht.
I think the most extreme good and bad words I have an understanding. Perhaps I better not give examples.
Well, feel free.
Oh, Scheiße was one. And yes, there are other comments and criticisms thrown at me from the audience, but some of them are good.
Does it worry you?
No, I like it because, well, I don't always like it if it's hostile, but I think it's good to involve the audience in whatever's happening.
Er meint, dass natürlich, wenn er durch das Publikum läuft, er hört Sachen, die sind ganz schlecht. Und wenn die wirklich schlecht sind, dann versteht er die immer, weil solche Worte versteht man überall. Es ist egal, ob man in England oder in Deutschland spielt, aber trotzdem, trotz dieser Gefahr ist es eine gute Sache, immer ins Publikum zu gehen, so dass man weiß, dass er ein normaler Mensch ist und hat Kontakt zu den Leuten. I mean, you find that when you do this, when you walk through the crowd, that you get in touch with the people down there. You don't then feel that you're the rock star and there's something different from you.
No, I very much feel that, well, when I go out, I look people in the eye, and it's not so much up on the stage and down in the audience. It's just direct. I enjoy it.
Er sagt, es ist wirklich ein direkter Kontakt dann zu das Publikum und dann sie sehen genau, wie er aussieht, wie er ist und dass er auch eigentlich ein ganz normaler Mensch ist. So normal würde ich nicht sagen, aber Peter, very nice speaking to you. Thanks for
Thank you very much.
Ich sehe gerade, dass die Umbauten auf der Bühne inzwischen fertig sind. Paul Butterfield steht bereit. Es geht jetzt weiter im Rockpalast-Konzert. Thank you very much. Peter?
Monsoon conditions last weekend at Milton Keynes Bowl to witness the reunion of Gabriel with his former colleagues in Genesis. More of that later. This is Peter Gabriel and Shock the Monkey.
Something knocked me off the trees. Now I'm a man.
Gabriel and Shock the Monkey, and here in the studio is Peter Gabriel. Welcome, Peter.
Hi.
Now, as we were saying before that track, you had a very busy day last Saturday. It was your reunion with Genesis at Milton Keynes. It must have been a pretty wet reunion, mustn't it, judging by the weather?
Yeah, we had filthy weather. It started about 6 a.m. and went on to about 2 a.m., solid rain. And the day before was perfect, and the day after was perfect. But
you had to pick one day out of 7 years, and
yeah,
that was the one. What sort of show was it for the benefit of people who didn't go? Was it a Genesis show or a Peter Gabriel show or what?
Well, first, I just want to say that it's amazing for the audience because they waited out for about 6 hours in the rain. So I wanted to get that over. It was mainly old stuff. We thought in return for us getting our fingers in their pockets, we tried to give them what we thought they might want out of the combination of the 6 of us, although we had a bonus with Steve Hackett coming back.
Oh, he was back there as well. Yep. So were you all dressed up and everything? Because Genesis, sort of early 70s, were well known for fantastically theatrical presentations.
Well, there was a little burst, you know. I tried to control it. I've seen a doctor, but it still gets the better of me.
One of the things that struck me about it was, I mean, you split from Genesis 7 years ago. Was it very difficult to, or were you presumably not as familiar as you were with the old material? How did you go about it?
You could say that. I was never good at remembering words, but this time I had to watch the lips of the front row very closely.
Now, this concert was, am I right, a benefit to recoup some of the losses made on the accrued on the WOMAD festival, which you were one of the prime backers of. How did you go about organising that fantastic festival with extraordinary breadth of artists there?
Yeah. Can I say too there that here I am messing up your interview. There was 1 or 2 mentions suggesting that Genesis had actually got some money out of that, and although they're often portrayed as very unhip and exploitative capitalist men of the rock world, it's entirely down to them now that the WOMAD movement can move or struggle or crawl forward, and they didn't get anything out of it.
That's good. How did you go about getting people like the Burundi drummers and all sorts of odd acts from all over the world? How do you get them to Shepton Mallet? I mean, presumably you
Well,
don't
they're
go
all
to
in
an
the yellow
agency.
pages. You let your fingers do the walking. But, well, we went into it really knowing F.A. about the subject, really. You know, we just liked some certain sounds and noises and thought that there was a lot that was interesting us and a lot of other rock musicians getting turned on by it. So we approached embassies, music colleges, anyone with a record collection, folk record shops, and there was a group of people in Bristol that were doing most of the scouting, and some of the connections were very hairy, and we couldn't believe the amount of bureaucracy. But when you actually got to meet the Minister for Youth, Culture and Sport from Burundi, who came with his drummers, you know, he's a very reasonable bloke, but actually getting through to them is a little different.
Yeah.
The festival reputedly lost a sum of about £200,000. What did it actually cost to put on?
Ooh, I'd say a lot.
Is that a rough estimate or a specific figure?
Well, I don't, what do they call it? Guesstimation in America, I think, yeah.
So now
It
you
was
see
a lot of money,
Yeah.
and I think we naively assumed that we had an event with more appeal than it actually had. I'm very hopeful that even if we can't continue, the idea is going to be pushed through by some others, because if nothing else, we showed that a rock audience could give a standing ovation to a 50-year-old Chinese horn player, and that was great.
Now, most people very often come on this program to plug albums, and you've brought something very intriguing here. Would you like to tell us what this is? Is it?
Yeah, well, it's my role as a travelling salesman. This time this is the Kids Pack, which a group of the WOMAD people put out, and I'm sure it will be available from 59 Shaftesbury Avenue. But essentially, we want to see a lot of schools taking up these booklets and an introduction to cultures of all sorts of different places. And we'd still like to get the involvement of lots more rock people in introducing kids to these things, because if the people that appear on the rock programs are introducing and getting turned on to this stuff, it's much more interesting than if the local education office is pushing it.
Briefly, is there any chance of another WOMAD next year?
Not next year, certainly, but I hope something similar will definitely happen. Whether we can be involved with it remains to be seen, but I think things look optimistic towards clearing our way out of this mess at the moment.
Thanks very much, Peter Gabriel, and best of luck with your own album, which we don't seem to have got around to mentioning, but I think WOMAD is a very good cause.
Best of luck with your many ventures.
Dazzling array of luminaries, among them Stuart Copeland, Kate Bush, and our very own Richard Skinner, with, as always, a camera crew in tow. More of that in just a second, but first, here's a clip of the video we showed you in full about 2 weeks ago, Sledgehammer from Peter Gabriel.
You better call the Sledgehammer. This will be my testimony. I'm your sledgehammer. Let there be no doubt about it. Sledge.
Peter, the video for Sledgehammer is, to say the least, a little unusual. Now, where did the ideas come from?
Well, I sat down with the director, Steve Johnson, and I think the most notable scene was the dancing chickens. It's his conception, but we were bouncing ideas at each other, and we worked with some incredible animators, so 3 or 4 different sets, all of whom were contributing a lot of ideas, so we had a large team of people.
Do you enjoy working in the visual arts as well as in the sound side?
Yeah, for me it's a great pleasure. I had a place at film school at one point before I thought I could make my living making noises, and that's still something which I'm very interested in, and so videos gives us a chance to get involved in that, and I'd like to learn a lot more.
You spent about the last 4 or 5 years working on this album, haven't you? And it's a rather startlingly different album too, because it's a very direct LP.
Yes, I think more so than previously. I think partly because I'd been doing this soundtrack with Birdie, the film, and that was purely concerned with atmosphere. Alan Parker's another great director, and for me it was fantastic just to work with people like that and learn how really to put music with film. And I think I was a little nervous when I took it on, but I think found it very satisfying.
The album is still predominantly rhythmic.
Still infatuated with his rhythm. I've never really forgotten that I wasn't a good drummer, and I'm trying to make up for it ever since. For me, that's sort of really liberated my writing, because the rhythm is like the core or the spine of the piece, and what forms around it is really shaped by the feel.
How far and wide did you have to go to search for these rhythms?
Well, as part of this time, I did manage to get to Brazil a couple of times and to Senegal, and I don't in any way have pretenses about writing or playing African or Brazilian music, but those things do trigger off ideas in me, and there is rip-off material which would just set me working in a different way. So I think the end result is still what I would call English music, but but the inspiration is often from another culture. And it's a great opportunity just to travel a bit and have some fun.
You use several drummers on the album. I know Stuart Copeland's one of them, but who else is in there?
Most of it is a Frenchman called Manu Katché. He's half French, half African. And, he was just recommended to me by a friend of mine, and was an incredible discovery for me. But I think throughout the album, there's some fantastic playing.
You recorded the album down here in the country in Bath. I wonder why you did that.
Money.
Sensible.
Because at the speed that I work to make an album in anyone else's studio would bankrupt me before I got to the third song, I think. So it's ended up a lot more economical, just trying to use the record advances to buy the equipment. And that gives me the freedom when, say, the soundtrack thing comes along or whatever else, that I can experiment and explore things without having to watch the clock all the time. But I think this part of the country, it's still accessible to London, and yet the way of life is very different, and there's a strong sense of community down here. I think I spend enough of my time in cities so that when I want to relax, I want to get away from all of that.
For some reason, 2 yellow safety helmets
hanging
in the ceiling.
Yes, this was the 3 of us, in fact, Daniel Lenoir, the producer, David Rose, guitar, and myself, would don the 3 yellow hats. The third one is missing.
It is.
And dance whenever we were performing. So this is a very important part of the recording process.
How actually do you, they're throwing it down, catch?
See, I have a big head, and I don't think this one fits me.
Yes, it looks great.
Something
Totally transforms the look.
Red rain is coming down. Red rain is coming down. Red rain is pouring down all over me. Well, I've seen them buried in a sheltered place in this town. They tell you that this rain can sting and look down. There is no blood around, see no sign of pain. Hey, no pain, see no red at all, see no rain. Red rain is coming down. Red rain. Red rain is pouring down all over me.
Peter Gabriel at the pianoforte with a song called Red Rain.
And now we'd like to take you a little further westward, agriculturally speaking, to where the sweet smell of freshly mown grass pervades our hairy nostrils. Snapping off time for the cosmic lawnmower.
Gabriel's career began back in 1965 at Charterhouse School when he teamed up with fellow pupils Mike Rutherford and Tony Banks to form Genesis. But it wasn't until 1974 that the group enjoyed their first hit, I Know What I Like.
It's 1 o'clock. Time for lunch. Fandy-damny day.
Gabriel later left the group to embark on an uncertain solo career, which finally reached fruition in 1986 with the album So and the hit single Sledgehammer.
I wanna be the sledgehammer. Why don't you come
1989 saw one of Gabriel's long-term ambitions become a reality with the creation of his own label, Real World. So, Peter, why the decision to set up the Real World label?
Well, a couple of things. In 1980, we started WOMAD going, and that was really because we were discovering all sorts of wonderful music that we'd never heard and didn't really know anything about, and really wanted to try and get it to a larger audience. And since the first festival, which was the one that I was really involved with, WOMAD have managed to build things up, and they now have festivals in about 6 countries, and or 7 countries this year, I think, and a really wide network of sort of music people, whether it's players or musicologists, educators. And since the So album, too, I had the funds to try and build my dream studio, which I now have. And it's been very much designed around the performer rather than the sort of engineer and producer. And we have very large control rooms so that bands and musicians can come and play in the control room, be part of the process rather than being shut off in a sort of glass box somewhere. So I think with the combination of a studio and WOMAD's sort of network, we thought it would be a good idea just to try and get a lot of people in the studio and get really high quality world music recordings.
Well, I've seen them buried in a sheltered place in this town. They'll tell you that this rain can still never down. There is no blood around, see no sign of pain. Hey, no pain, seeing no rain, don't see no rain. Red rain is coming down. Red rain. Red rain is pouring down.
On my very first trip to Africa, and I left New York, and all the hip musicians were trying to learn a few African licks. And then I'd arrive in Dakar, and all the hip musicians there were trying to learn a few sort of New York jazz rock type licks. And the exchange is really in many directions, and any problem arises when the money and attention is just going in one direction. And so I always say that someone like myself, who is taking from influences all around the world, that we have a responsibility to try and promote the people that turn us on. So with the Passion album, I put out also Passion Sources, which shows the things that really excited me and turned me on, and the musicians get to do their music in their own way, and it's, you know, it's accessible.
Do you feel that also part of your work in this direction has to do with maybe promoting a better image of some of the countries too, because our press and TV and so on tend to look at these countries a bit one-dimensionally, whether it be Latin America and revolution or poverty in Africa? Do you think it's good that this music's providing a more positive image of some far-flung places around the globe?
Yeah, I think music's always worked like that as a means, as a doorway into understanding a culture. I mean, all the arts, I think, work like that. And now there is this marriage with rock music, you know, where, I know some people see it like the sacred and the profane, but I think myself that it's very powerful and very healthy, and that is a way into understanding the people, and not just getting caught up with the sort of media stereotypes.
How shocked were you that The Last Temptation of Christ, which you contributed to, caused such a furore amongst Christian groups?
Well, I was quite concerned before I got involved with the film. I talked to Scorsese for quite some time just to try and find out why he wanted to make it. And it was very clear from talking to him that, you know, he'd trained to be a priest. Although not a practicing Christian, he cared enormously about the message of Christ and really wanted to portray it with this struggle between Christ the man and Christ the God in such a way that the message would interest people who don't normally go to church, aren't interested in religion or aren't Christian. And so I felt very good about getting involved for that reason. And I would still say that at the end of the day, not one person has lost their faith as a result of that film.
Is a lot of pressure brought to bear on you as a result of having to put yourself out on a limb? I mean, wouldn't certain sections of the record company rather that you made more formula stuff?
Yeah. Well, I still am very much a songwriter and intend to continue writing and releasing songs. But having done the Birdie soundtrack before, I mean, this is a part of my work which is very important to me, and certainly, you know, it won't sell like a regular album will. But that doesn't worry me, because I think it's got some of the best music that I've ever done. And I think, you know, it takes a while for me to get another album out anyway, and I can go off and do other interesting projects. And I also don't think it's a good thing for artists to release too many records that are similar, because it becomes less special then.
Lottie plays with Jane, Jane plays with Willie, Willie is happy again. Suki plays with Leo, Sasha plays with Brit, Adolf builds a bonfire, Enrico plays with it. Whistling tunes, we hide in the tunes by the seaside. Whistling tunes, we're kissing baboons in the jungle. It's a knockout. If looks could kill, they probably will. In games without frontiers, war without tears. If looks could kill, they probably will. In games without frontiers, war without tears. Games without frontiers, war without tears.
You've also been working with Yosun Dua. Tell us a bit about that project, because he's a man that is underrated, I think.
Well, Yusu, I think, like Nusrat, would be in my top 10 singers list. I mean, his voice is just extraordinary. and I met him, I guess, about 5, 6 years ago now. And I think, in a way, in this country, both he and Nusrat have sort of grown up as stars of WOMAD in its early days. He toured with me now the last couple of tours that I've done, and that's always been a lot of fun. And you know, we used to finish with Biko, but In Your Eyes before that, with a lot of dancing and singing and improvising. And every night, you know, it was really enjoyable. So he's just been working on a new album and wanted me to help him with the tracks. So I wrote this thing called Shaking the Tree, and he's done some Wolof for it. I don't know how good your Wolof is, but it's, I think, a nice groove, and the subject is sort of women's emancipation. And in Africa, particularly, that has a great deal of distance to go. You know, the woman is very much subservient, and I think Youssou's always had a very strong rapport with the women in his audience, and so I think this is a song for them.
Quand je connais Peter Gabriel, pour la première fois, je ne savais pas qu'il était connu.
Ah, super.
Parce que moi, j'étais fermé de ce monde occidental. Je ne savais pas, je l'ai salué comme quelqu'un que je ne connaissais pas. Et après un an aussi, je ne savais pas qui il était.
Qui il est.
Qui il est.
C'est super ça.
C'est après qu'on a lié des choses que je sais qui il est. Alors, je pense que ce n'est pas très important de parler de qui a la popularité ou les choses. Je parle de la personne parce que c'est comme ça que je le connais.
Waiting your time, dreaming of a better life. Waiting your time, so much more than just a while. You don't have to do what your mother has done. She has done. This is your life, this new life has begun. It's your day, a woman's day. It's your day, a woman's day.
The video for Shaking the Tree was filmed in Senegal, and as Peter explains, the filming was not without its problems.
The only problem was that there was a big sort of riot going on between the Senegalese and the Mauritanians at the time. So we actually couldn't get a plane to fly us in there because there were people being shot at the airport. So we had to go to the Canary Islands, which was the nearest we could get to Senegal, and then charter a plane, or 2 planes in fact, which was quite an adventure because you had a refueling stop in Mauritania. And it's a little like the end of the world. It's just empty sand with these wrecks of ships on the beach, and then seawater and very little else, very little growing things, I mean, if at all. And the soldiers who were running this little air base, I think, didn't really know what we were all about, and we got into trouble quite quickly with taking pictures. And in fact, the second plane, when our producer arrived, who is a lady, the guards then said that they would only refuel our plane if they could get to keep her, which required considerable negotiation. But sure enough, they came out with the little fuel tank on wheels and a hand pump, and we got our plane refueled. But it's terrible what's been going on, in fact, and I think it's been very one-sided reporting. It began with a border dispute between Senegal and Mauritania. I think some animals had strayed over to Mauritania, but there were incredible reports of torture, so kids having limbs cut off in front of their parents, and castrations, and I mean, horrendous murders. And that caused riots in Dakar, where we were, and the Senegalese, who are basically very peace-loving people, began sort of stoning and looting the Mauritanian shops. So it was a really tragic time, and you know, we see these hundreds of Senegalese families waiting during the airlift to see, you know, who had survived, and at the airport there were hundreds of Mauritanians just lying with forlorn faces on the tarmac, waiting for planes to take them back. And I know Youssou had some friends there who were Mauritanian, but grown up in Senegal, so all their friends, their work, their girlfriends were in Senegal, and they were being forced to emigrate into Mauritania, you know, where they had no relatives, friends, or contacts, and it was a terrible thing that was going on. But anyway, we got our video done, and the show must go on.
You must have experienced human rights abuses all over the world, and I know that, you know, your work with Amnesty and various other political groups would bear that out. Has that sort of experience really pushed you forward as far as this world music project has gone too, because you do want to?
Yeah. I think inevitably there is a political element when you get interested in music from other countries, because quite often yeah, the political situation is very unstable, or the musicians are actively involved in the politics of their own country. But in a sense, with the, I mean, they've been a bit separate for me, and with the label, you know, it's never been our intention to try and influence the artists, but really more just try and serve them and allow them to practice whatever they are doing and whatever paths they've chosen within their own sort of musical and political roots, just to get them over to the West and to a wider audience. But for myself, you know, when I travel a lot and start seeing these situations firsthand, and you talk to people directly, and you know, you're looking in someone's face as they're telling you these atrocities, it's then very hard just to forget about that and bury yourself in your own pretty comfortable island.
This song was written for a very brave man. A man who preached non-violence in a state which has racism enshrined in its constitution.
Peter veut avec sa musique connecter tout le monde, dire que tout le monde devra regarder l'autre et attentif de l'autre. Dans sa musique, tu te rends compte de ça. C'est des thèmes comme Steve Biko parle bien sûr de l'Afrique.
Because you are concerned with such broad concepts, how do you feel, for example, when the media pick up on rather petty concerns here? I mean, you're a notoriously private man, and yet you've been tabloid fodder, haven't you, these past few months because of Rosanna Arquette and so on.
Yeah.
Does it disturb you to a great extent?
Well, in a sense, you know, I don't mind an accurate account of whatever's going on, really, but what pisses me off, yeah, is the way that it's sensationalized, you know. Like, if you can stick a bit of smut in there, it sells a bit more paper. And, you know, I think the trees would be better off standing.
Peter, it's been good talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
Welcome to Star Test, the computer interview. Please just relax and enjoy yourself.
I'll try and do that. My name is Peter Gabriel, and primarily I make noises and ideas.
Here are 9 categories of questions. Please select a category by simply touching the screen.
Before and after.
Please choose any number.
8.
What are your strongest memories of school?
I think I was at school in the flower power days, so I think I was trying to be a hippie within the confines of a traditional English public school. So I was walking around the place with bells on my feet and throwing flowers in strange places. And I think then it felt quite an oppressive, repressive atmosphere. And music, for me, was a fantastic release. So I think that's when I really looked into channeling my emotions through my music. Number 11.
What did you dream about as a child?
Flying. I was quite convinced that I could fly. I'm still not sure that I couldn't. I used to run very fast around these 4 apple trees in the corner of the lawn and flapping my arms. And I think I was reading quite a lot of Superman comics at the time. So perhaps reality got a little confused. Number 14.
What music would you like played at your funeral?
Passionate music where people sing at the top of their lungs, which doesn't happen too often in English music, but I love it when you have choirs like in Africa sometimes, and you get these beautiful melodies and you hear soul dripping out of every mouth. 4.
What are you most looking forward to at the moment?
I've had a dream for a sort of alternative theme park, which is a sort of experience center,
where painters, filmmakers, musicians, psychologists, architects all get together and put people inside experiences and ways that they can play and discover and explore for themselves. And that, for me, is something that I would love to see happen. Number 7.
What was the last note you wrote in your diary?
When I'm going to see my kids. Number 10.
If you could meet yourself as a 16-year-old, what advice would you give yourself?
Go for what you want, accept what you get.
Now please select a new category.
Sweet and sour. One.
Would you change anything in your life?
I hate the way success dominates everything about what we do, and say in my business with music you're only as good as the last record, and I think for anything creative you should be encouraged to make mistakes, not to fear failure, and to retake on things that interest you, because you learn as much if not more from going wrong as you do from going right all the time. 12.
What sort of people make you feel uncomfortable?
Cliques. I think when you have a crowd of people that are achieving strength through the exclusion of others, I don't like that. I hate that. So prejudice in all its forms. 8.
Who would you least like to be and why?
I think someone who is blind in their opinions and their thinking. I think an open mind is really important to me. And there are so many people who have very fixed ideas about life, people, politics, relationships, and sometimes that rigidity is very destructive and I think causes a lot of problems. So that is what I wouldn't like. 4.
What's the one thing that you don't have in your life that you would really like?
Right now, I think a happy family.
Which is your favorite city?
Siena.
What car do you drive?
A Saab 900 or 9000, one of those.
Who is your favorite film director?
Maybe Fellini.
Which is your favorite painting?
There's a triptych by Francis Bacon, which I like very much, so self-portrait.
Who is your favorite cartoon character?
Yes, there was a Little Nemo. Couldn't remember.
Do you prefer rhubarb or pineapple?
Unquestionably rhubarb.
When did you last have a haircut?
Probably about 3 weeks ago.
Who is your favorite actress?
Minnie Mouse.
What was the last book you read?
Bonfire of the Vanities, Tom Wolfe.
Do you take sugar in tea?
No, I used to and I hate it now.
Were you breastfed?
I hope so.
please select a new category?
Faith and fortune. Number 3.
Do you believe in a benevolent God?
Benevolent, I'm not sure. I do believe in God. 5.
How psychic are you?
Fairly psychic. I think I have strong instincts, and I back them quite often. There's no question in my mind that you can pick up, all of us have the capacity to pick up information which is not logically received, whether it's about people we love, about our future, the roots of coincidence. No doubt that there are other patterns at work in my mind. Number 6.
If you were a ghost, who would you haunt?
Right now, I think I'd be the ghost of all the kids that have died of leukemia from the proximity of their homes to nuclear power stations in this country, and I'd haunt our beloved leader. 7.
If you met God, what would you ask her?
For her phone number. Number 8.
Do you enjoy gambling?
Yes, I do. I think my grandfather was something of a gambler, and I think I could quite easily get hooked. I think there's a sense of excitement and risk-taking which just gets you going, and I think I do that with my work. Number 10.
How optimistic are you about the future of the world? Optimistic are you about the future of the world?
Whereas I think unrealistic optimism is extremely dangerous. Realistic optimism is the source of life, because if you expect things to go badly, there's an increased chance that they will go badly. If you are fighting that and you're determined that things can get better, they can improve, then I think you can actually put positive energy into that. What I hate sometimes in England is sort of completely dismissive cynicism. I think enthusiasm is really vital.
Here are 9 categories of questions. Please select a category by simply touching the screen.
Power and glory. 16.
What do you most like about being famous?
Attention. Number 1.
Who are your heroes?
What's your heroes? I like Milligan, I've always liked. I think he has a brilliant mind. Gandhi. Otis Redding. I think, yeah, Biko in some way too. It's really inspiring. Number 7.
What is the thing that you most fear during a performance?
Forgetting the words, which I do quite frequently. So now my guy who looks after me on the road has a chain around his neck on which are pinned the lyrics of whatever song I'm performing. And although I think I've only once gone over to him and looked at it, it's like a security blanket that I know it's there and it is within reach. And occasionally, you know, if it's the beginning of a tour, I'll mark the stage out with key words. Or read the lips of the front line in the audience who tend to know the lyrics better than I do always. Number 10.
Did you win any prizes at school?
I think I came second in a high jump competition. And I wasn't very athletic, so that was a big moment for me.
Please concentrate hard on answering the questions in this section truthfully. If you appear not to be telling the whole truth, you will forfeit the chance to show your video. From the 5 questions which follow, you may pass on just 2. Where did the first WOMAD festival go wrong?
It was overambitious. We assumed that the whole world was going to get excited about music from many countries as we were. And I think, you know, that's come to pass. But at the time, we needed a 30,000 audience a day, and we got a 10,000 audience a day. So we should have scaled it smaller.
How exclusive is the real world?
It's open to all comers. But the real world is also a studio, which at the moment is a commercial entity, which is available for those who can pay for it. But also we're trying to do a lot of the real world label recordings there, which are musicians from many backgrounds, many countries, many cultures. And we're trying to give them the opportunity to work with great technology, hopefully to produce really powerful, passionate recordings. And so those don't require the money. And then the real world experience park is really a place for adventures for everyone.
To what extent did your departure from Genesis meet with resentment?
At the time, with a lot of resentment, because we'd worked very hard over a number of years, a lot of touring, a lot of slog, quite a lot of difficulties, you know, getting through to the level that we had. And although, you know, people had assumed that we were enormously successful and very wealthy, we'd actually just reached the point where we could pay off our debts. And I think there was some resentment then amongst the band who weren't sure that they were confident to carry on without me, that I was sort of destroying not only my own future but also theirs, and that was seen as unfair. And in fact, you know, I think it actually gave them an opportunity, and they were more successful without me. So I think it was a good move for all of us.
You now have 30 seconds to talk about your latest video.
This is a video called Zar, from an Egyptian rhythm, which is supposed to fend off evil spirits, and it features, I think, some excellent painting and animation from a German artist living in New York called Stefan Roloff. Honor and Justice. Number 15.
How severely do you judge yourself?
I think I'm quite demanding on myself, which is probably part of the drive. Number 14.
How much interest do you take in world events?
I think it's very important as the world seems to shrink that we get a sense of how what we do in our country affects many millions of people in other countries. And for any musician that spends their life traveling, and particularly, you know, when we were doing the Human Rights Now tour, which we went to South America, Central America, Africa, and India. And suddenly, these people aren't just newsprint. They're real people, and you're meeting them, and you're finding out about family members that are being killed, or the very real problems that they're facing. And it's very hard just to walk away and say, you know, this is where I come from, and I just function in this little place. Number 6.
What causes would you actually fight for?
Well, I believe in non-violence. I think maybe that's the cause I fight for. No, I don't know. I think it's very hard if you look at some situations, such as in Central America or South Africa, where people don't have any rights at all. And particularly, you know, when they see those around them destroyed, abused, exploited, I think it's quite difficult then to assume a position of non-violence. And I think I might react in that way or change my views if I was actually living in that society. So maybe, you know, non-violence is a luxury that we can afford. But I hope not. 13.
How good a liar are you?
Not very good. And those that know me well can see right through me. Number 5.
How easy do you find it to admit to mistakes?
Quite easy. I think it's very important too. I mean, you know, I think sometimes I'm proud of my mistakes if they're done with conviction. 4.
Have you ever been arrested?
Yeah, I was arrested as a Bader-Meinhof terrorist in Switzerland. We were arriving late for this gig in France, so we stopped at a phone box outside a bank and called up England to say that, you know, we'd be a little late. 3 local citizens apparently rang up the police and said that the bank is being held up by terrorists, because some of us were, I was wearing a scarf to protect my voice, and there was the wife of one of the musicians in sort of military fatigues, and some of the other guys in shades. And so, you know, maybe to the fine, upstanding citizens of St. Gallen, we looked like a strange bunch, but the police came and they were very scared of us. So they had these machine guns and were sort of shaking as they were pointing them. You know, it's almost like we were superhuman. And the road manager had picked up the cash from a gig, and so he had a briefcase full of different currencies. So they were convinced that was evidence that we were terrorists. And it took us about 8 hours, for which we had to do an a cappella version of one of the songs, all of us singing in this jail cell, to try and convince the Swiss that we were musicians, not terrorists. Enough of that one. 11.
What do you think is the greatest cause of misery in the world?
The inability to understand someone else's point of view, someone else's position. 3.
How do you justify your lifestyle?
I don't feel I have to justify my lifestyle.
Thank you for playing Star Test.
My pleasure.
Have you learned anything about yourself?
I prefer talking to people and TV screens.
Who would you like to see in the Star Test chair?
Our fearless leader. Maybe some of the old Chinese men who just massacred their children.
You are now invited to select 5 characteristics from the on-screen menu which you feel best illustrate your personality.
I like wicked, open, creative, humorous, kind.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Facing the star test next week at the earlier time of midnight 45, Nigel Kennedy and his trusty violin.
There you go. Congratulations on the Grammy.
Thank you very much.
You know, when I watch the video, I can't help thinking to myself, besides the music, the worms on your face, are those actually...
Well, it was slugs and snails, and they were trained for some time, and
really?
You just have to sit back and relax and think of them as the lips of a beautiful woman, and then it's a little easier.
Think of them as the lips of a beautiful woman.
But they're a little bit sharp.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of these things, just there's one little creature who had these things, they're like teeth, and they suck the skin in or any material they're traveling on and digest what they can pull off that. So when that gets on your eyeball, it hurts a little bit.
Yeah, you think of that as a skin cleanser, really, just sort of...
It is, well, I'm thinking of opening a spa, you know, a snail spa.
Yeah. Maybe send agents and managers down there and just put those all over their face.
They'd be right
clean
at
them.
home.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, feel right at home.
Yeah.
I mean, how long would it take? I mean, I realize all the other animation and everything, but how long do you physically have to sort of sit for
For some of the animation stuff, it does take a little while, and there was one shot on the lawn with the grass growing up, and that took about 4 hours. So after a while, you think lying back for 4 hours sounds very easy, but after a while it gets extremely painful because your muscles start seizing up. But
yeah, plus having little things sucking your eyeballs too is a bit...
It's amazing what you have to do to get rich and famous these days.
Oh, you know, it's just a living hell, isn't it? Oh, it's just terrible. Now, you went to, but you had a pretty straight upbringing, right? Private schools and all that type of thing?
Exactly.
Yeah? So,
yeah, it was strict, and music, although now, you know, they're quite happy to acknowledge that we were present at the school at the time. You know, music was only played by disreputable types and discouraged, so we had to sneak radios up to the bedroom and hide them away under the pillow, and then sneak into the piano room and start writing. And then there was one place where it was allowed, so we get in all these soul records and blues records and just turn them up to full, but that was only allowed for about an hour and a half.
And then that was it?
That was it.
Well, you've always been pretty high-tech in your concerts and things like that.
Very kind of you to say that,
huh? Well, no, but I mean, I mean, it is high-tech, isn't it? Someone said you were playing like some kind of theme park thing or something. Is that true?
Well, it's been an ambition for some time, and I'm working on it with Laurie Anderson and Brian Eno, and we've been talking to people in Barcelona and in France in the Ministry of Culture, and in a sense you have independent records being made and you have independent films being made, and it's about time there was some independent ideas in the theme park business.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be... You could have a ride where they put snails on your face.
Yeah. I could indeed.
All right, we'll take a break. You gonna do another song a little bit later?
I am indeed.
All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in case you haven't heard, please.
We're all born creative. The main limitations are the ones we impose on ourselves. I never get up on stage without some sense of panic. I make no pretenses about playing music of anyone else's culture.
communication in general?
I think so, yeah. It's principally us as two people, a man and a woman, but it's also, you know, us as in people as a whole. I mean, in a sense, the lie is that them exists at all. In a way, there is only us. Yeah, I think I have a wonderful life in most of the areas except relationships. And I think that's something, you know, I've had to look at and work on, and, you know, that's a difficult area for me. I think, you know, other people have other problems, whether it's sort of money, job, you know, friends. I mean, those things so far have not been difficult for me, but the relationship, you know, is something that I've had to focus on, and I think it's required stripping away some of the layers and looking down at things that I didn't particularly want to look at.
And songwriting is part of the process?
Yeah, I think songwriting, you can dump a lot of the stuff out in a way and feel lighter and relieved at the end of it.
Give me steam, and how you feel can make it real. Feelings ain't anything you see. Get alive with the dreamer's dream. You know your culture from your trash. You know your plastic from your cash. When I lose sight of the track, you know the way back, but I know you. You know you're stripping from your pain. You know you're sinner from your sin. Whenever heaven's doors are shut, you get them open, but I know you.
Sometimes the words will give a sound and a rhythm color that will just help lift it and take it some other place, as well as what's going on with the meaning. Usually I have some simple idea that sticks out at the beginning, like something like "Come Talk to Me," but the rest of the words and the verses come much later when I've already got the chords and melodies mapped out. Come Talk to Me grew out of a Senegalese groove that I'd recorded a long time back with Doudou and Jay Rose, this Senegalese master drummer, and it was a groove that I liked a lot. We chopped up a little bit of it and added some other beats. I tried to introduce quite a lot of textures. I think it's sort of more of a journey than some of the other tracks, and starting off with these bagpipes. There was something quite sort of gutsy and primal about the sound of pipes. I'm not sure which is the most confessional song, but that started just after the breakup of my marriage, and one of my youngest daughter I couldn't communicate with, and it's really, she sort of dropped off, and so that was where the original "Come Talk to Me" came from, and then I think some echoes of the other relationships came in there as well. But I think, you know, a lot of people have yearned for that sometimes when they get shut off from people that they care about. So, you know, you get something else to plug into them.
idea is that we have two stages, which are very different worlds. The square stage is more the high-tech, high-energy stage, and the round here is more a quiet environmental stage.
Right.
And the river in between the two is kind of our transition spot where we hopefully connect the two worlds and illustrate how to work in between the two.
There's sort of a Canadian connection to this, isn't there? Because you worked with
That's right, Robert Lepage.
What did he bring to
An awful lot. He worked very closely with Peter for quite a while, almost a year in the planning stages, and I would say it's nearly a 50-50 split between the actual ideas and also in implementing. Robert brought in some of his team. So we were working with both a standard rock and roll team of technicians and crew, as well as a theatrical team from Robert.
Personally, I didn't like what I felt I was becoming in that role, and I did feel that the thing itself, because of its success, was becoming a little more conservative. You know, now if I want to do something which appears stupid or unnecessarily dangerous or risky to the other people I work with, I'm entitled to do it because it's fundamentally my thing which I'm putting at risk. The role of rock star in inverted commas in a big band, making records and touring, became a little mechanical, and at that time I just had some kids at home and so on, and wanted to have some time there and time to develop in things other than rock music, because I think you see a lot of hollow shells that have been performing this sort of routine function for a long time, and I didn't want to become that. There definitely has been a split, and that some of the Genesis fans really positively dislike my current stuff, find it too abrasive, and vice versa. And I think that's healthy, because there's no point in continuing if you're functioning in the same area as the group that you were with previously. Any artist that says he doesn't take notice of the reviews is a liar, but it's the degree to which you allow yourself to be influenced. I think I first of all have to please myself with the music, and then when that's finished, then I'll try and put it out to sell it in whatever way I can. But I think to aim it
in advance of completing the music, either for the public, you know, for commercial things, or for the critics, is dangerous. And so I'm not conscious of that at the time of doing it, but I am conscious of what they say when I've done it.
This song was written for a very brave man. A man who preached non-violence in a state which has racism enshrined in its constitution. A man who was imprisoned, tortured, and killed in a jail in South Africa. This is for Stephen Biko.
There are grand ideas about social reform as a result of pop music, which I think are greatly exaggerated. But I think what you can do is perhaps trigger ideas and tap people's thinking into a given direction, and that's useful. But I don't think you can change the world.
September 77, Port Elizabeth, weather fine. It was
What's your name, Captain?
as usual.
In the book. Say it! Say your name!
Oh, because
Bantu Stephen Biko.
Oh,
Is there any way to equate the feeling you had when you wrote the song Biko to the feeling of delivering it to a song at an event like this?
I think it's really, for me, it's very pleasing that there's this number of people that are here in this purpose. I mean, whether some are here for the music or not doesn't matter. There's still a lot more publicity for the situation in South Africa than there has been in a lot of recent months because of the effectiveness of the South African news blackout. In the press, there's been a lot of stuff about why rock musicians are so hung up on South Africa when there are so many other governments of the world committing atrocities of all sorts. And the answer is that it is the only country in the world that has racism enshrined in its constitution. You know, there are still people getting murdered, people getting tortured. There is a state of emergency, as they call it, and it's outrageous that it is allowed to continue and that so many businesses are still continuing to trade with South Africa.
It was at an earlier press conference when Bono pointed out that the people that have suffered torture in the last 6 months is greater in number than those involved in the outrages against the Jewish people in Germany in the war. I have some German friends my age who were asking their parents how they could just sit back knowing that these things were going on. And I hope when my kids ask me that question in connection with the outrages and torture that's going on in the world now, that I'll be able to say that I did something on this tour, and I'm very proud to be here.
You can blow out a candle, but you can't blow out a fire. Once the flame begins to catch, the wind will blow it higher. Oh,
In the 60s, you know, was great for image, style, and rebellion, but actually achieved very little. And if
the 80s has done one thing. It has shown that real direct and practical actions make real differences to people's lives. And maybe that's a more adult and more boring and realistic viewpoint or worldview. But I'd rather live in a society where people are making some attempts to improve the world than one that couldn't give a damn.
Story has never been told. Now you see the light. Stand up for your right. Hey, get up, stand up, get up, stand up, stand up for your right. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up, get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up, stand up for your right.
I think what I believe in is the power of people, that if there's enough people who shout loudly about something they really care about, that politicians have to take notice because their electoral future is dependent on us. In democracies anyway, politicians are afraid of elections. So if we make our voice as ordinary people loud enough, they will be forced to respond for their own survival. I think, you know, with my music, it's on one sense a fairly superficial level. I make no pretenses about playing music of anyone else's culture, but just say there'd be rhythm patterns which I use to start writing stuff around, which are taken from somewhere else, and they may sound, you know, where the beats are placed in the bar to be more interesting in, say, this Pakistani Qawwali music, for instance, as against mainstream rock. So it'll still, when you hear it, sound maybe not like a lot of rock and roll you hear, but it'll still sound Western. But the feel will be a bit different, I hope. I felt that if there was so much in this music of other cultures that excited me, then there would be at least some of it which could get through to a large audience, because I don't feel I'm that different to the people that I play to. And so we set about with a group of people from Bristol who are running a sort of record magazine called the Bristol Recorder, bringing together musicians from, I think, about 50 countries with people like Echo and the Bunnymen, Simple Minds, The Beat, XTC, yeah, and I mean, at the concert as well as on the record. This was an attempt to use that
power that rock has to open people up a little bit. And all these hardened promoters were telling us there's no way that an audience will, listen to Chinese opera in between Simple Minds and Peter Gabriel, and that was quite wrong. I mean, the audience in some cases were bemused, but they were very warm and curious. Whatever country you're born in, whatever language you speak, you should have a chance to get your music heard around the world if it's good. What often happens is that musicians hang out in the cafe or backstage on the buses and just start jamming together, and none of this is ever recorded. So originally we just thought we'd punch a week's hole in the touring schedule, because the festival now functions in 14 countries, and hijack all the musicians into the studio and invite people, as it were, to bring their own studios. So some people come with little 8-track setups and DAT machines. There are some producers in the different rooms who try and steer, but essentially, if an artist has an idea and they meet someone in Lulu's cafe that they get talking to and hear some great things from, then they can book some time to do something with them. For any musician, and for me especially, it's the most exciting week of the year.
I know that you're feeling bad, but I'm glad you didn't. Easy to get caught up, but you know you can't always.
Well, I've been aware of her for a number of years, and I think her work is really good, very strong, and from just being a sort of good singer and good writer, I think she's got real command of the sort of sounds and textures she uses. And although I didn't get a whole lot of time to work with her during the week, it was enough for me to see how strong her abilities are. And I'm sure it's not going to be very long before she has a sort of a major breakthrough around the world.
Plays with Jane, Jane plays with Willie, Willie is happy again. Suki plays with Leo, Sasha plays with Brit. Adolf builds a bonfire, Enrico plays with it. With some big tunes we hide in the tunes by the seaside. If looks could kill, they probably will engage without frontiers or without tears.
The idea that perhaps adults seen as kids and countries behaving toward each other in a way that adults are unable to behave, so that, i.e. through war, etc., different set of moral codes.
With some big tunes we hide in the tunes by the seaside. With some big tunes we're kissing balloons in the jungle. It's a knockout. If looks could kill, they probably will. In games without frontiers, war without tears.
There are definitely other things that I'm interested in, a lot of visual things,
video. With the coming of video cassette, video disc, there's going to be a new medium created, which hasn't perhaps been properly envisaged so far, in that most people are thinking of it in terms of servicing films and live performances, and not so much creating something specifically for the media.
See you tomorrow.
You know, I think it's a terrible shame the way some artists are just prepared to spend a couple of hours with a video director and let another company just come and illustrate their work. I think it's an important part of what you do, and it's a responsibility of the artist to get involved and to learn a bit about it.
You could have a big dipper going up and down all around the bends. You could have a bumper car bumping. This amusement never ends. I wanna be the sledgehammer. Why don't you call my name? Oh, let me be a sledgehammer. This will be my testimony.
There is one special award that we've not told you about just yet. That's the Coca-Cola Award for Innovation in Video, as voted by members of international television companies all over the world. The winner of that award, Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer!
I've always appreciated humor and seen, you know, some humor in things that I do, but I think this is the first time that it's come through visually properly, so it pleases me.
And I will pray to a big God as I kneel in the big church. I'm on my way, I'm making it. I've got to make it show, yeah. So much larger than life.
The opportunities of just letting the imagination loose are obviously limitless in that format.
With the Digging in the Dirt video was that idea that while things are buried and hidden under the ground, they can get strong, powerful, and oppressive. And then when you open it up and there's the daylight coming through, then the devils really will have their balls cut off. You know, their strength is gone.
Hey, 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 monkey, monkey.
with lyrics, I just follow my nose, and sometimes when I look back afterwards to see really what I've been writing about, I think there are some things on this album which have some social framework or context, but there are certain bits which are more abstract, perhaps. I never get up on stage without some sense of panic.
I think part of it is just commitment, it's just being prepared to push yourself out there, and because it's naturally, I think, you get nervous when you're standing in front of a group of other people, and either you go for it or you hold back, and sometimes you can really feel it in waves, you know, going through the audience, and when you're boring them and they're not interested, you know, the wave shrinks back towards you. And I think what enables us to be effective often is when the feeling or the passion of the music is greater than the ego. And I mean, I think all musicians know that moment, and it's a magic moment when it happens.
Of hip-hop.
School, it was a choice for me between whether I went to film school or carried on as a musician. And now, for me, when I get these opportunities to work with great directors doing these soundtracks, you know, for me it's a fantastic opportunity to go into the editing room and sit around and watch them work and feel involved.
On the Passion record, which was enormously important for me, I think I learnt a lot. I was working without words, very freehand composition, and trying to come up with a sound that was sort of both ancient and modern, and although it had Middle Eastern references, really tried to work in some influences and performances from all around the world.
His main contribution on this record was in helping me at the initial points just get the best out of the material, and secondly in performance. I think he's very respectful of the magic of performance, and so often if something felt like I had an idea to do something and it seemed like something was about to happen, rather than take 2 hours getting the sound, by which time the energy is dispersed, you know, straight hit the record button and we were off. And then we'd have to sort out the sound problems afterwards, but at least that way we got the spirit. And I think, in a way, the feel of the playing is looser and more human, perhaps, on this record than before. Even when we were doing overdubs, you know, we'd be dancing around the studio and trying to get a live performance atmosphere in a way. Daniel will play a little guitar, and David Rhodes, my guitarist, and the 3 of us would quite often be in the studio working on things, and we'd put on yellow builder's protection hats and get up and dance while we played. And whenever we had a guest in, too, we'd, instead of all sitting around, you know, politely in this sort of cold, analytical environment, we'd get up and grab percussion instruments, and that way I think the studio was kept as a sort of alive environment.
each record I work with Dan, the relationship has changed a little bit. I didn't listen to him much in terms of lyric before this one, but hearing how well he'd done his own record, and in fact some of the stuff he's done on the next record is going to be really strong, meant that I built up quite a lot more respect for him as a writer.
I think Daniel is a great producer, and perhaps one of his best qualities is his ear for magic. He knows how to push me, and both musically and lyrically, and perhaps further than I might go on my own.
He supports the artists in what they're trying to do, so the Neville Brothers, Dylan, U2 and my records don't sound the same, you know. I think this may be, you know, some of Dan's influence there and ways of doing things, but they're very much the records of the artist being encouraged in their own directions.
In this proud land we grew up strong. We were wanted all along. I was taught to fight, taught to win. I never thought I could fail. No fight left, or so it seems. I am a man whose dreams have all deserted. I've changed my face, I've changed my name, but no one wants you when you lose.
Don't give up, 'cause you have friends. Don't give up, you're not beaten yet.
She wasn't afraid to try things, and you know, I think was exploring sort of textures in a very interesting way, and using her voice in a textural way as well as a sort of song carrier. And Laurie, who I think is just an extraordinary mind, and I come out of one of her shows, you know, with head really kicked into another gear, ideas sort of really running over, and so that fascination with invention and new ideas goes along with her music.
Looking out, I'm watching out. When I see the future, I close my eyes. I can see it now.
I see pictures of people rising up. I see pictures of people falling down. I see pictures of people standing on their heads, they're ready. I see pictures of people rising up. I see pictures of people falling down. I see pictures of people standing on their heads, they're ready.
They're looking out.
Look out!
They're watching out.
Watch out!
They're looking out.
Look out!
They're watching out. Watching out.
The people.
Watching. They're
See
watching.
pictures of people.
Watching. Watch out.
I see pictures of people.
Watching out. Watch out.
I see pictures of people.
Watching out. Watch out.
It's a sort of logical extension of the work I do, as I think it is for Brian Eno and Laurie Anderson. We've had some development money, but we're still in an ideas stage, and we're sort of still 2 stages away, really. But there's a site earmarked for us. There's a mayor and a city that wants to do it, but there are some sort of political decisions, because I think that, you know, the state is right-wing and the city is socialist. So we have to get through some of those hurdles.
It is the alternative theme park. The technology is there now to put people inside the world of the artist, to put them in those ideas and emotions.
Because there shouldn't be any separation between artists and non-artists, you know. We're all born creative, and I've always thought that it's basically, you know, people that need to start doing creative things that end up doing them for one reason or another, rather than just virtue of this sort of mysterious thing called talent, which I think is a little overrated. I've always thought, well, if I can do it, then anyone can. I think there's a lot you can do in terms of feeling good about yourself, finding about yourself, learning what's going on, just through anything creative. I love this idea, you know, that with some of the sort of Casio revolution and so on, but music is available to a lot more people now than it was before. And similarly, some of the possibilities with video, now all that video editing and effects stuff is getting into the camcorder land. The main limitations are the ones we impose on ourselves.
You must have such a big agenda. Do you feel like you have the time to do it all?
Sometimes not, because there's some wonderful opportunities that I get offered now, so, and I hate to say no. So it tends that I take on more things than I should sometimes, but getting a little better at that.
That you're involved with, the music and the theme park and the amnesty and all these things, somehow, I mean, when you ask yourself the question of, you know, why am I empowered to be able to do all these things? What am I, you know, it's just, why am I here, I guess, is the question. What do you answer?
I don't know, I think, you know, sometimes I just get on with stuff that I really enjoy and find exciting, and it's sort of selfish motivation, and then, you know, other times I feel a bit like a vehicle with a job to do. So, you know, it's a bit of both.